So I run like a lot of YouTube. Wow, I'm losing a lot of weight. I need to keep eating right and not drinking soda. So my favorite channel to run is the Hyperlight News channel, because I like to think about things and I like tactics, and that brings me into politics, and I like working with heaven, and that also brings me into politics. My roommate just got home. But lost my train of thought. But I'm watching this. Oh, but I don't get to spend a lot of time on my main channel because God's really been putting on my heart lately to put Bible studies out there and other Bible studies out there and kids content. Yeah, peace out. So I'm gonna stop this for now. Okay, my roommate came home. I moved rooms. I fortunately still remember what I was talking about. I was telling my friend yesterday that men and women cultures were largely separated, and now that they're intermingling, we're having to get on the same page. There are ways men talk that women don't, and ways women talk that men don't. So, for example, one of my coworkers, I helped her become a supervisor at work. I have a lot of management experience. She had none. So I kind of helped her understand what you need to do as a manager. There are people that are just going to always be a pain in the butt. Ignore them. Work on the people that want your help. And so one day she comes up and she's really mad. She goes, "Oh my God, this guy, he's not listening to me. I think it's because I'm a woman, blah, blah, blah." And I looked at her and I said, "What? Don't say that. Don't ever say that." She said, "What?" And I said, It's not because you're a woman. He's just tired and he's spacing out. I remember with the gift of discernment, I can read people's hearts like immediately. So on top of being highly intuitive, I'm also supernaturally gifted. And I've had to tell this to a lot of women, "Oh, it's because I'm a woman. Oh, it's because of a woman." And I'll say, stop. Just because your friends tell you men hate women, that doesn't mean that's what's happening. Because it can look like what's happening, but that doesn't mean it is what's happening. And so this is what's actually happening. Men are assholes to everybody. It's not just you. We are assholes to men and we are assholes to women. And you have to get good at confrontation in order to get past that. A lot of women don't like confrontation, and that makes sense because, a lot of women come from a mom culture. You're not allowed to talk back to the mom in the house, what the mom says. And then a lot of men come from kind of like a bullying past culture. When your dad lays down the law, you need to do what he says, because things can go bad. Don't stick your finger in an electrical socket. That's bad. Stop. So she's saying, I don't agree with Kirk, and what he's doing is moving down throughout society. And so that's a mommy instinct. We're not going to use these words. We're not going to talk like this because I say so, not because it's smart or it's wise. You need to be able to talk about all things. Otherwise, they'll become hidden secrets and they can grow, right? That was one of the problems with the KKK is nobody walked in and said like, "Hey, let's talk, let's work." What's his name? Daryl Davis did, Black Boogie Woogie player. And he would just talk to all these KKK members, and he's had 200 KKK members leave. He even went to a Klan rally. So here's what I told my friend that changed her mind, because she said, she felt it could be dangerous. She hadn't thought about it much, but she felt it could be dangerous to have these ideas out there. And I had to tell her that's what happened with slavery. They made it illegal to talk about slavery, or they made it illegal to say slavery was bad. So that's one of the reasons freedom of speech is so important, because if you can make it illegal for me to talk, it also can easily become illegal for you to talk, because when you make it illegal to say things, you're giving the government power, not you. So I would explain it to my classmates like this. The moment you make hate speech illegal, I can make it illegal for you to talk about abortion. And that changed a lot of minds, because you're not giving you the power, you're giving the government the power. And sometimes the government is me, and sometimes the government is you. And so, if I was theoretically the government, I would say abortion is wrong. We're not going to talk about abortion ever again. To say abortion is right, I'm going to put you in jail. So if you think somebody's ideas are evil, you need to pray. This is another reason why Christianity is so important, because Christianity points towards righteousness at all times. And you need to talk. And one of the reasons a lot of women especially, and women-trained men, get really agitated is y'all don't want to be confrontational. And I've actually had to train a lot of people at work, like how to be confrontational. And confrontational doesn't mean fighting. It means you have to negotiate treacherous waters. So think of it like a storm and you're on your pirate ship at sea. Your job is to communicate even though you're frustrated and trying to come to a conclusion. One of my friends even said she didn't like to say the word no. And I looked at her, I was like, whoa. Because for me, you're not an adult until you can say the word no. If you're not able to say no, you're not an adult. You're as old as an adult, but you're not an adult, because that is pivotal to life. So yeah, my advice is you can't shy away from the responsibilities of interacting with people you hate. Like, just like you have to deal with a child's temper tantrum, you have to deal with hostile situations. And the same thing's true with men. Like, when there's a communication error between men and women, we have to be patient and not fight. Let me see if I can find a cool Bible verse. Okay, so here's a good Bible verse. Jeremiah 33:3. Call to me and I will answer you, and will tell you great and hidden things that you have not known. So there's the secrets to the universe are upon the heart of God. So we reach to God and we ask him to share these things and how these things work. And so we get to know the ultimate right and wrong, not the popular culture right and wrong. Because everyone that's saying like guns are bad are saying it for good reasons, but it's very much word of mouth. It's very much we've heard, we think, therefore we incorrectly know. And I was over there too, and my friends made me read history books. So for example, the government always ends up killing everyone, but the people, when they're armed, the government can't do that. And then there was a CDC study that said women will use guns 1.5 to 6 million times a year in a defensive situation. So what we're not thinking about in statistics is when attackers come against a woman, they can show that they have a firearm and the attacker leaves. And so that's a very important moment with guns where they serve their purpose. 2/3 of gun deaths are suicide, so that's more evidence we need Christianity. More people die in swimming pools than guns. And then, I do bring up that, like, the only way to survive the government trying to kill you is to be armed. And people will say, well, I don't know about that. And I'll say, okay, so all you have to do, I did this in class, I said, all you have to do to win this argument, and I told her, I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm just trying to give you the other thoughts so you can remain you or change your mind. Like, I'm not here to push you. I'm just here to put things in front of you, and then you can tell me that I'm wrong. So we're going to do this, and then I'll admit I'm wrong. All you have to do is say, I trust the police. And she looked at me and she went, huh. I was like, yes, now you understand. Now you understand. And she went like, okay. And I said, what happens if someone comes to break into your house? And she said, I call the police. And I said, cool, well, you defunded the police, so there's no police anymore. And then I say, now what happens when 3 people break into your house? And she's like, do you really think a door would stop 3 people the size of me? And she goes, huh. I'm like, yeah. So, like, guns are very interesting. So yeah, there's a Bible verse for this video. So I just thought it was interesting that people thought the solution is to outlaw people from exercising their emotion and thoughts and promoting what they think are good laws and values. Because everyone wants to promote what they think is best, and everyone wants to push against what they think is wrong. But if you don't allow humans to conversate about it, then you're trying to rule civilization, not grow civilization. You're trying to be civilization's mommy and basically spank the people that you don't like. And that is not good. And it's interesting because, like, so girls are doing the mommy thing where they're shutting down conversations they don't like. And one of them, especially, I keep hearing over and over again, is, why are you arguing on college? Why are you arguing with these kids? And so women will rephrase it in a way that makes it seem like what they're talking about makes sense. And this isn't me putting that down. This is just me critiquing it. So think about, like, you go into a garden and you want an apple. You don't want to eat the tree, you want to eat an apple. So I'm talking about what works and what is incorrect. You don't eat the tree, you eat the apple. So let's say, oh, these kids, these aren't kids, these are adults. These are 18-year-olds. You're an adult now. Okay, you're not an adult when you're 85, you're an adult now. You're able to vote. You need to drive your life towards a direction that promotes your dreams and what you're trying to do in reality and who you want to do it with in reality. And there's a male version too. Men will just say, oh, she's just a dumb bitch. And that's the same thing as I'll say, like, did you try talking to her? Did you try expressing yourself? Like, she's mad at you and she's talking about all these other things. And sure, all these things she's talking about might not be true, but have you taken her on a date in a week? And that's what I always circle back to. Like, you need to do a good job communicating to the women in your life. And then to the women, I'll say, you need to do a good job realizing that you're going to have conversations about things you don't like or approve of. You're going to have hard conversations. It's basically the same thing. Be softer to the man, be harder to the woman. Like, you're going to have some hard arguments, and to the man, you're going to have to be gentle, more gentle in these hard arguments. Anyway, yeah, I just want to talk about that. I hadn't done an episode here in a while.